Hello, and welcome to another Family Missionary Moment. My name is Roderick Grass, and I am going to be telling you the story of Samuel Morse. Sam was in trouble, again. All he did was draw a picture of his teacher, Miss Rand. The other 7 children, crowded on a long bench, giggled behind their hands. School was such fun when Sam was there. He was always drawing, sometimes on the walls, sometimes even on the window. Miss Rand sighed and tore his drawing to pieces. "Children, study your prayer book. Sam, bring your reader to me and say your lessons." She sat down. Sam obediently placed his book in her lap and began to recite. "In Adam's fall we sinned all. This book attend, your life to mend." Miss Rand smiled thoughtfully. "Very good, as usual. You memorize well, Sam." She closed the book with one hand. "If you didn't have this book, would you believe in God?" His teacher often questioned the children, but Sam was a little surprised this time. "Yes," he answered promptly. Miss Rand watched him closely. "And how would you know there is a God, Sam?" "Father showed me a bug's wing under the microscope. There was such a beautiful color and such a beautiful pattern. I know a great artist designed it." Miss Rand smiled. "Lovely," she said. "And how do you know you are a sinner?" "The Bible tells me," he went on quickly, "but I knew it long before I read it. And one day I asked Jesus to save me." Miss Rand chuckled. "Well, you sound like a patriot when you recite your lessons, but I believe you also understand with your heart." Sam lived in a big house on Main Street at the foot of Breed's Hill in Charlestown, Massachusetts. His father was Dr. Jedediah Morse, minister of the Congregational Church. Sam's brother, Sidney, was 3 years younger, and Richard was just a baby in a cradle. Sam lived near the area in town where Paul Revere had raced his horse on the way to Lexington, warning everyone the British were coming. Once on a trip to nearby Boston, Sam met Paul Revere and watched him work as a silversmith. Oh, if only he could draw Mr. Revere in his black coat and the forge with red sparks flying, or the American soldiers in colorful rags and patches fighting the redcoats. If only he could paint those bright colors. "It would be well if you became a minister," his father said sternly one night, as though it had settled it. But Sam knew he would never stop drawing. Samuel Morse was born over 200 years ago in 1791. He lived in a time when messages traveled very slowly. In bed at night, he heard the town crier go up and down the streets. "Half past the hour of 10, and a clear, cold night. All is well." He had read about minstrels who walked from castle to castle, singing news and carrying messages. His father was interested in the natives of the Western Plains and knew all about them. He told Sam, "Some send messages faster than other people do. They use smoke signals and arrows, but sometimes flaming arrows." Sam jumped up from the book he was reading by the fireplace. "Oh, Father, what a new idea! I'm going to send a message to my friend Henry at the top of Breed's Hill. I'll send it by arrow." "No flaming arrows," his father warned. "And it's not a new idea at all. The Bible tells us how Jonathan warned David his life was in danger with an arrow message." Sam's thoughts were fixed on sending his own arrow message, and he asked his father, "May Henry ride to Boston with us tomorrow? I want to show him Mr. Revere at work." "There might be shops selling paintings and brushes and drawings," Sam was thinking, "but I don't dare say it aloud." Yes, Henry may go with us. Are you interested in messages now instead of drawing? Sam chose his words carefully. I like both, he said honestly. Drawing most of all, he thought secretly. I'll work on my message to surprise Henry, Sam said. He printed a note. Dear Henry, you may go with us to Boston town tomorrow. We leave at 8 o'clock in the morning. Sam. Tying the message to his longest arrow, Sam ran with his bow to the end of his yard. Henry's house was high on Breed's Hill. Such a long, tiresome climb. What fun, Sam thought. I'll shoot the arrow into his backyard and save myself the trouble. He aimed and released the arrow with a twing and saw it arc up and fall just inside Henry's fenced yard. Then he waited at the front of his house to catch Henry's father on his way home from work as town clerk. Mr. Brown, Sam called, waving to this tall man carrying a bunch of papers under his arm. Tell Henry to look in the yard. It's a secret message from me, a big surprise. 8 o'clock the next morning. Sam got on the coach to Boston with his father, but there was no Henry. He heard later that his friend never found the arrow. The night had been too dark and foggy. The message had been lost. When Sam was 11 years old, he was sent to boarding school about 20 miles away. He shared a room with 2 other boys his age. Sam unpacked the apple and pieces of cold chicken Mother had prepared for him in case he got hungry in the night. All the boys studied reading, writing, arithmetic, Latin, history, and geography, and there were singing lessons for Sam. The schoolmaster scolded Sam for drawing all over his books. Once he slapped him hard. I will be an artist, Sam vowed, bending over his lessons. I think of it night and day. In his room he worked on a huge drawing of all of his family seated at the table. Day after day Sam waited for a letter from home. No letter. The mail coach was so slow. One night Sam could not stand being homesick any longer. He stole a rope from the gardener's shack and hid it under his mattress. The schoolmaster lived on the same hall, so Sam didn't dare leave that way. Opening the window, he tied the rope to the ledge. Hand over hand, he let himself down, while his roommates snored. He ran along the shadow of the building, then turned out on the road to Charlestown. Ran away again, shouted his father when he saw Sam. Is this the 4th or 5th time already this year? Oh, Mother, why didn't you write? Cried Sam, hugging her. Maybe I wouldn't be so homesick, if only you would write. I wrote twice. You know how letters get lost or delayed. Back you go in the morning, said Father. He was very annoyed at having to take Sam on horseback. In his back pocket, Sam carried letters from Mother and Sidney. I'll read one on Wednesday and one on Friday, he decided happily. Holidays and summer vacation were always fun. Sam and Henry built rafts to paddle on the river. They played at being captains of ships and signaled with their arms. They also visited Boston, where Sam bought dry powder in many colors. He mixed the powder with water to make paint. By now, all of Charlestown knew Sam Morse was going to be an artist. I am going to stop here. Samuel's father wanted him to be a minister, but Samuel wanted to be an artist. And how could he make a living at it? God had a plan, though. So join me next time for part 2.